let's talk about tribute to the troops. So it was quite the show. December the 8th, 2023. JBL is on commentary. Black people are singing God Bless America. There's a drill team juggling rifles. What in the hell? What is going on here? All right, so news and notes. Let's talk about it. There's only one thing to discuss, really. I'm not going to read any articles. It's just going to be a discussion. So apparently Endeavor, the parent company of TKO Group Holdings, is going to host on their streaming service TNA Wrestling, otherwise known as TNA Plus. It used to be called Impact Plus. And they're going to be hosting them on Endeavor streaming. So that led to a lot of people looking at themselves saying, how is Endeavor going to be hosting a rival wrestling company when they own a wrestling company? What is that about? And I too am concerned and questioning what that is about. Like, why would, like, the only reason you would do this is if you don't see them as competition, or you see them as a potential acquisition, or you see it as an opportunity. And I'm thinking that's what the third option is. You see, so Endeavor also owns UFC. And UFC has a streaming service called Fight Pass. And on Fight Pass, they have a lot of smaller time smaller time MMA or martial arts companies like Cage Warriors or Cage Fury or something like that. And they host those events on UFC Fight Pass. Because those companies are so small, or sometimes they do things so differently than UFC, they are not considered real competition. So is it possible that we could return to the days of WWE maybe leasing other people's content like they used to do with ICW and Progress and WXW, which still uploads stuff onto the WWE network, which is very curious. And maybe they're going to work their way into TNA uploading some stuff onto the WWE network. It's possible. Maybe that's where they want to go with that. But why would you do it with a promotion that has the lineage and the length of time as TNA? I wouldn't do it with like the number 3 wrestling promotion on the continent. Maybe not. Well, then again, I would question whether they're bigger than AAA and CMLL, which they probably aren't. So they might be like the top 5, certainly top 5 wrestling promotion on the continent. Maybe you should look at maybe some of the ones that run local, but they run pretty frequently. Like I think Warrior Wrestling or something like that might be a good option to host their shows on the network or something like that. Maybe even GCW, but GCW is a little too bloody and a little too violent, so maybe not. But it was an interesting story that led to a lot of tweets and a lot of attention because of how unlikely it was that, the company that owns WWE would do business with a competitor. But maybe they don't see them as a competitor. Maybe they think that WWE is so far and beyond that they don't have to do this anymore. They can be a little bit more open with their business. I don't know. I don't pretend to know. But I do think that it's pretty suspicious. And I would ask a lot of questions. If I were TNA, I would be asking some questions. But then again, why would you? They probably just happy to get the exposure. Not much else to talk about. We'll talk about Seth Rollins' interview in a different video. All right, let's get through this. They started the show with the United States Championship Tournament. Okay, great. Another tournament. Santos Escobar defeated Dragon Lee. He defeated him clean. Again. Thanks for the push. Huge push we getting for Dragon Lee here. He's going to lose clean the day before he has to wrestle for the North American title. And look, Santos Escobar is really good. Like him. They're doing the Alberto Del Rio thing with him, where he basically just wrestled Rey Mysterio seemingly 100 times in a row. That's basically what they're doing with Santos Escobar and Dragon Lee. They're just going to keep wrestling each other. And that's just going to be it. Escobar can't seem to beat anybody that's not Hispanic already. Come on. Why put Dragon Lee in this situation? You think he's a top star? You think he has this ability to be this guy for the future, but you're just going to keep beating him on TV for free? For nothing? It seemed dumb to me. If you're going to get the guy out of the tournament in the first round, don't put him in it. You could have put anybody in that spot. You could have put Cedric Alexander right there. You could have put literally anybody just to get him out of the tournament. You didn't have to put Dragon Lee in it. Speaking of which, Karrion Kross lost to Bobby Lashley in a way that made people put their hands on their hips and say to themselves, Karrion Kross, you still exist. In fact, the special guest commentator, who is a college football guy, apparently follows the product and knows ball, because we ain't seen Karrion Kross since August when he lost to AJ Styles. Humor. And Karrion Kross lost his match, and it was less than 10 minutes. It was like maybe 5 minutes or less. So he lost in almost dominating fashion. Bobby Lashley, he was a huge babyface here for obvious reasons. He was in the military. His dad was in the military. He was an Army sergeant. And so he was big here, but he's been a star pretty much for a long time anyway. So, but it was just kind of felt special here. This usually would be a heel versus heel match, but because it's tribute to the troops, Bobby Lashley is the babyface, and he went out there and pretty much wrecked Karrion Kross. And it's kind of strange. Karrion Kross is incredibly talented, looks the part, but can't seem to get any kind of traction under his feet at all, period. You bring this guy back after all this time and basically just have him get beat like this. I don't know what the big deal is here either. Like, it's the same thing with Dragon Lee. Like, you could have loaded this card up with literally anybody and it wouldn't have mattered. Why take people that you might be able to make money with and grind them into dirt like this? What is the point? I don't know. But unlike that other goofy tournament, this one is at least almost over. We probably got another 3 weeks of this, probably. I'm not a big fan of it, but we're in the middle of it. Can't do much now. Next week, Kevin Owens is going to wrestle Austin Theory, and Grayson Waller is going to wrestle an unnamed NXT talent, which now the internet is leaking that it's going to be Tyler Bate. Now, who told you it was going to be Tyler Bate? Didn't I say that? It's Tyler Bate. Again, Tyler Bate has been in NXT for 7 years. The people who claim to love Tyler Bate so much, which a lot of them are wrestling fans from the UK, they noted that he has been signed since he was like 19 or something like that. And here the guy is like 26, still very young, and been in the system all this time. And he's probably going to end up being Grayson Waller's opponent. I can tell you this, I wouldn't do it. Look, I don't hate or dislike Tyler Bate, but you keep taking these small, undefined, uninteresting, bland Europeans and then throwing them on television. At least Grayson Waller has the ability to talk. He's not European, he's Australian, but you know, he's a cousin of the Europeans. But at least Grayson Waller can talk and he's got charisma. What does Tyler Bate have? He can wrestle. Okay. It's like, maybe we should get somebody with some personality in here. You know, the Beatles invasion of NXT is what almost killed the brand. You had a bunch of Brit Bongs jumping over with no personality whatsoever, and all they want to do is grapple. And like, oh, okay, that's fine. I don't care about that though. So it's probably going to end up being Tyler Bate, which I kind of already knew. But we on a wait and see approach. There's nothing else more for the guy to do in NXT. He needs to be called up. He needs to be thrown out there. You know, whether he swims or sinks, it's about time. He's just been on the roster for too long. So get prepared to have Grayson Waller versus Tyler Bate next week. Oh boy. Happy, joy, right? No. So the United States Championship tournament is moving along. Randy Orton's backstage with Nick Aldis. Randy Orton is not happy about having to team up with LA Knight. He doesn't know who LA Knight is. He wasn't there when when Randy was wrestling on SmackDown a year and a half ago. And Nick Aldis says, all you need to know is you want the bloodline. He wants the bloodline too. So then Randy Orton slides Nick Aldis a check for $100,000. It would have been better if it was in a briefcase, but okay. He gave him a check for $100,000. Nick Aldis was like, oh, hey, look, the fine for the RKO was $50,000. And Randy said, yeah, the rest is for next time. Meaning that you're probably going to get another one. He took it a little better than I thought he would. But I'm very interested in that. So we're gonna just go ahead and do the main event. The main event was Randy Orton and LA Knight defeating Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso. Earlier in the evening, CM Punk, LA Knight and Randy Orton did a segment where they just kind of stood around each other, just staring at each other. They just wanted to put CM Punk on screen with people in this episode. Just put him on screen with Kevin Owens. Just put him on screen with LA Knight. Just to get the juices flowing. There was nothing really up with that, but just get the juices flowing a little bit. Just get people talking. Anyway, Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso losing. I kind of figured that was going to happen, right? Roman's going to be back next week. Let's see if he even bothers to address these losses. He hasn't been paying much attention. Roman hasn't given a shit about much of anything lately. So maybe he won't even notice that these guys are losers since he's been gone. And he probably don't give a shit. But I, for one, am very interested in my tribal chief returning. And am looking forward to it. Okay. Bayley, she was told to stay backstage while Damage Control got Asuka's back in the match against Charlotte. She didn't want to. She wanted to be there, but they told her, nah, we don't need you. You stay back here. So she did as she was told. And then Damage Control was attacked by a trio of Mia Yim, Zelina Vega, and Shotzi, chasing them away. That left Asuka by herself to wrestle Charlotte. This match featured Charlotte's worst moonsault, probably of all time, where she did a moonsault and was nowhere in the same, they weren't even in the same area code. It was such an awful move. It was so bad. I don't think they were in the same zip code. All right. Anyway, Asuka went down anyway because she was like, I don't know, I speak Japanese, I'm confused. So she just flopped as as Charlotte did the moonsault. So Bayley came back out there, tried very hard, caused a distraction, got elbowed by Charlotte, and then Asuka rolled up Charlotte for the win. So Asuka wins the match. It was a very short match. They didn't have a lot of time. Apparently, CM Punk probably ate into their time, if I had to venture, I guess. But so Charlotte, after the match, was injured. I think she said that it was her knee, that maybe she had an awkward fall, or she landed awkwardly on that moonsault or whatever. But if Charlotte is down, that's actually, I hate to put it this way, but it's kind of a benefit to the women's division. Charlotte has been, I don't know what it is, but she's such a tremendous talent, except for the fact that she eats up so much time. And it seems like everything she does has to be about her, and it never gets to the other girls. So it's hard to say. Maybe it's because she's overshadowing them. Maybe it's just the way that the show is booked, which I'm thinking is something to do with the way the shows are booked, if we're being honest. But Charlotte going down again sucks for the women's division, but it forces them to push somebody else other than Charlotte now. So let's see what they do. Hopefully it's not Mia Yim, because she sucks ass. And she blows chunks in the worst way. Cody Rhodes, the savior of Black America, he comes out with his fake teeth and his fake blonde hair and his suit, which it probably might actually be legit, to thank the troops and introduce the drill team performance. I mean, who better to come out there than the future president of the United States, the future senator of Georgia, baby, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. It's like, well, are you the American Nightmare or are you the American Dream? Because if you're the American Dream, nah, that's that. Probably not. The American Nightmare, why are you so into the military all of a sudden? Why? You're the nightmare. You're not the dream. Well, I guess the military is a nightmare, I guess, for some people. Okay. So CM Punk, he cut his promo on this show. This is the promo he needed to really give on Monday. This was infinitely better, far more passionate, far more tongue-in-cheek, wittier, sharper. This was much better. Much, much better. And he even starts it out by saying he's in the middle of the show, not at the end, so he won't get his time cut. So he insists that people chant for him. Then he starts with the whole idea of which brand is he going to work on, Raw or SmackDown. He mentioned winning the Royal Rumble. Then says that he's famous for talking, but he's starting to listen. And that people don't want the happy-go-lucky CM Punk. They want him to get comfortable at home. They want him to get a little spicy. So then he says he got a friend who says, what do you guys want to talk about? And then he says, no, wait a minute. Who do you want me to talk about? Then he says, you want me to talk about Cody? And then people are like, no, don't talk about Cody. Please don't do that. We like that fake shit. So then he started saying, hey, maybe we want to talk about somebody who ain't here. Maybe we talk about somebody who ain't never here. So then he acknowledged our tribal chief, Roman Reigns, and says, don't forget, he was my wise man first. And then he starts talking about Raw and SmackDown again. That does he want to go hang out with Jay? Does he want to stay on SmackDown and scrap with Jimmy? And he says there's going to be endless Samoans if he does that. Then he says maybe I could tag team with Kevin Owens. Then he says maybe I can fight Kevin Owens. So then he started saying that maybe we wouldn't get along because we're a little too much alike. You know, you can't be around backstage punching people in the face. It's 2023. You can't get away with that. It was funny to people who are in the know, but everybody in the crowd was like, what? What is he talking about? But WWE fans not being up on the internet dirt from AEW is priceless. This is why, again, this shit only works one way. These fans was like, what is he talking about? You can't punch people in the face. Like, isn't that what you guys do for a living? You know? So he says that everybody has welcomed him back with open arms except one guy. And then he says he's not going to talk about that guy because he's not even the man of his own household. The crowd starts singing the song. He's like, yeah, sing the song because that's all he's got. And then he said he's going to sign Monday night. You're going to figure out where he's going to go. 10 days to the day where he walked out of this place in the same building. And he's back to finish what he started. He's going to finish his story. And that is main eventing WrestleMania. Great. You got a little bit of everything in this promo. It was really good. I could have done without all of the, am I going to work on Raw or I want to work on SmackDown? Who gives a shit about that? But most of the other stuff was really good. The nice little dig at, you can't go around punching people in the face backstage. I like that. It was cute. He didn't have to say any names. People who are in the know, but they didn't dominate the promo. It was just kind of like a wink and a nod at what happened while wrapping it up into what he's doing already, So it's not like he's going out of his way to mention that. The Seth Rollins stuff was really good too, because the two of them dissing each other, sneak dissing without saying anything. Rollins calling him a fraud and a hypocrite in promos. CM Punk saying, oh, you're not even the man in your own household. All you got is the songs that people like to sing. That's good stuff, because you can see that it's subtle. They're two ships passing in the night, where you would probably prefer if they went head up at each other. But the drama in modern wrestling is in letting things build almost naturally so that they can be talking about each other but never actually interacting. So what I'm going to guess is that CM Punk is going to make his decision to join the Monday Night Raw roster. And that's where we're going to start really getting the issues with him and Seth Rollins. And of course, it's going to pick up a little bit more after the Royal Rumble. And the Royal Rumble is in I don't know how many weeks it is. It's a while from now. Now, this has led to a lot of people saying, okay, there was one comment I saw that says, if you got CM Punk back, you have to do CM Punk versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. CM Punk is 46, injury prone. How many more of these matches can you possibly get out of him? You get the biggest money match out of him possible right now. And I understand that. And that was the same thought process that went into Edge. It was the same thought process that went into, Roman versus Edge. The problem with that is Roman's been champion all this time. He should be putting over somebody who's going to take the company into the future. CM Punk is not that guy. All right. He's not going to be the guy that's going to carry your company. He's 46. The future for him is 2 or 3 years max. If he's still wrestling at 50, I'll be shocked. All right. So we're probably talking about, ending his career on his own terms, which is main eventing WrestleMania, maybe doing it again the next year, and then calling it a goddamn day. That's probably going to be it. So having Roman carry the belt for 3 years just to drop it to a 46-year-old, I don't know about that one, dog. And Roman definitely needs to drop the belt at WrestleMania, so I'm certainly not on board with that. So a lot of people who hate Cody, and I know I talk shit about Cody, but he's the best option. Cody is infinitely over with the fans. He's a full-time talent. He means he's going to be wrestling on Raw or Smackdown or whatever show. He's going to be there every week. He's going to be there to carry the brand. They put all the money in the machine behind him. He's the right option. It's just literally, he's the right option. He's old enough. He's like 36 or 37 or 38 or something like that. But he's not LA Knight well into his 40s. He's not CM Punk, almost 50, so he's not geriatric, but he's experienced enough. He's not a guy like a Drew McIntyre where it would be nice if it was Drew, but people would not. It's just kind of like, when it comes to like a guy like a Drew McIntyre, it's got to be Cody. The fans have invested all their time and energy into Cody. It's got to be Cody. But you can do CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. And you can give both of those guys what they want. Because Seth Rollins has also been a guy that has been sort of belly aching about not main eventing WrestleMania. And here it is, a prime opportunity for both of them in where their first interactions took place, which was in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where Seth Rollins moved to Philadelphia from, I think, Iowa or wherever he was living to be trained in the Ring of Honor dojo where CM Punk was holding court. So even though he didn't stay there long, that's kind of where the two of them first met, was in Philadelphia. So how poetic that they will both have their greatest career highlight, main eventing WrestleMania in Philadelphia, where when they met for the first time. That could be very poetic. And both of them are big stars in Philadelphia, as well as it was a Ring of Honor town and that kind of stuff too. So you got a lot there. There's nothing wrong with Punk versus Rollins. I like the idea. Go for it. You got all the heat there, the storylines there. They're already starting to build it. Now, does CM Punk win the Royal Rumble? This is going to be a difficult question because they played off of this for later in the night. They had CM Punk walk around backstage, and he was back there with Kevin Owens. He's looking for Nick Aldis to get the offer for Smackdown. And in doing so, he saw the Bloodline locker room, and he looked like he was going to knock on the door. Then he was like, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to fight 100 Samoans. So then he ends up running into Kevin Owens, and the two of them just stare at each other. And there's a lot of gray hair in this scene, by the way. God, I wish Vince was back to make them color this shit. They all just look fucking ancient. Like, why is everybody here looking old as hell? Anyway, everybody's a grizzled old vet on this show. Anyway, except Lashley. He's probably the oldest motherfucker on the roster. Anyway, for the third time. He asked Nick Aldis, he asked Kevin Owens where Nick Aldis' office was. Kevin Owens didn't know. But it was just about doing the tease that Kevin Owens and CM Punk may do some stuff in the future, which I actually like the idea of. You know, CM Punk coming back to WWE to work with Ring of Honor guys. You know, I worked with Ring of Honor guys in AEW. Now I'm going to come to WWE and work with Ring of Honor guys. So then he also went and collected the contract from Nick Aldis, the offer for SmackDown. And here comes Cody. And there's a little bit of tension there about the whole story that needs to be finished. And Cody says, well, I hear you're looking to win the Royal Rumble. And CM Punk's like, yep. He's like, welcome back, my friend. I'm like, oh, this is phony. Cody, just tell him, like, look, you got to go through me. All right? Why can't you just say you got to go through me? But this Royal Rumble is already infinitely more interesting because Punk is going to be in it. Cody's going to be in it. One of those two are going to win it. They're both going to be in the main event of WrestleMania. Cody doesn't need to win it. He's already won. Punk does kind of need to win it. And I think it's easier for him if he just wins it. And then Rollins goads him into picking him as his opponent. I think that's probably the best option on how to make that match happen. So outside of this stuff, we got a lot of vignettes for the military, various people. Montez Ford, who was also in the military, did a short comment on his military stint. The tribute to the troops usually sucks. It's usually like a really terrible show that's taped and it's not canon and nothing on it matters. Triple H found a way to reintegrate the theme into regular storylines. So they presented basically a regular SmackDown with a theme, which being tribute to the troops. And CM Punk made the show absolutely watchable. The tournament matches were not bad, but they were very, very short. And the main event was okay too. So it was mostly a pretty good SmackDown. You know, a lot of stuff to talk about coming out of it with CM Punk and Seth Rollins, or CM Punk and Cody. You know, I can see those two being maybe the first two and the last two in the Royal Rumble. I would do it that way. I would have Cody and CM Punk be the first two, and I would have them be the last two. Pull a Shawn Michaels and Undertaker in that joint, and Punk goes over. Punk wins it, and he gets to pick his opponent, and he's going to finally main event WrestleMania. And Roman Reigns is trying to goad him into picking him. I'm the main event. You need to pick me. But Punk picks Rollins because Rollins has been fucking with him for 4 years. You know, so I think that would be great. And that would lead to a lot of drama, a lot of intrigue. You can do some interesting things. And you don't want to put Cody over too heavy because then people are going to turn on him. You don't want to put him in a situation where he screws CM Punk because then he might get booed or something like that. You can always have the bloodline eliminate Cody. Much like when John Cena was eliminated out of the Royal Rumble. He was attacked by The Miz and what was that guy's name? Alex Riley. You can always have Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso attack Cody and throw him over the top rope. And maybe in the middle of the show, if that's what you wanted to do, in order to take that option off the table. But then have Cody take some kind of drastic measure where he has to, I would say, bet something. I'm a big fan of betting in matches, and I hate that they don't do that enough. I mean, since sports betting is such a real thing now, where DraftKings and everybody is taking over. We need to see more bets in wrestling. It needs to get a little bit more Mexican in this joint. Like, it needs to be where Cody Rhodes wins Elimination Chamber or something like that and offers Roman Reigns something, an opportunity or whatever that he can't pass up in order for the match. Maybe he puts his hair on the line. Maybe he puts his career on the line. Maybe he puts something else on the line. And I would think that, and I noticed this happen when Cody left AEW, almost all of the gambling references left. Like the Casino Royale, they don't do that stuff anymore. They still have an event called Double or Nothing, which is, of course, a betting term, but that's just because it was a pay-per-view. But like pretty much everything that was in relation to that seemingly is gone. No poker chips randomly and all that kind of stuff is gone too. So maybe that was Cody's idea or something Cody added to the product, or maybe it was just seasonal for that Double or Nothing era. They're going through poker chips and all that kind of shit and Casino Royales, but I didn't see any of that stuff in 2023 since Cody's been gone. So maybe that stuff was his idea. And if it was, why not integrate that into his character now and say, I've always been a betting man. I bet Dave Meltzer I put 10,000 people in the Chicago arena, and I'll bet on myself right now. Leading to him doing something over the top in order to get Roman to agree to a match at WrestleMania. That's how I would do it. You know, I don't think Cody doesn't necessarily need to win the Royal Rumble. He does need to win the title. And CM Punk is kind of the opposite. He does need to win the Royal Rumble, but he does not really need the title. Yes, Rollins should still be the champion. But maybe you do Money in the Bank shenanigans. And maybe Punk wins the belt, then Money in the Bank shenanigans, he drops it to Damian Priest, and Damian Priest goes forward as being the champion. The only reason I don't say that CM Punk should be the champion is because at his age, you want to keep him special. You don't want to make him an everyday part of the product. So putting the belt on him and then making him the guy going forward is probably not a good idea. You should use him to get other people over. Using him to get the belt off Rollins is fine. But the belt should ultimately go to another regular roster guy. So, yeah, maybe you have CM Punk win the title. He gets his big WrestleMania moment. And then Damian Priest cashes in the Money in the Bank, beats CM Punk for the belt, maybe with some help from Seth Rollins, or maybe it's other members of Judgment Day. And CM Punk disappears for a while. Or maybe you can even do it on Raw. And have Damian Priest be the champion going forward. But I wouldn't have CM Punk with a run as champion, as he's a little old for that. But there's nothing wrong with him winning the match, I guess. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap.